I am Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And we're paranormal specialists who live in the most haunted city on earth, Savannah, Georgia. Every day is Halloween in our line of work, so join us as we spin true tales of haunts, murders, and disturbing Savannah history. I'm Madison.
I'm Chris.
And welcome to the most haunted city on earth. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the most haunted city on earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And I'm Brigham Young University.
The whole university?
The whole
university.
BYU.
Wow. That's
wow.
A lot of Mormons in that one chair.
There's quite a lot of Mormons happening.
A lot.
Are you up to date on your Mormon lore and antics?
Absolutely not.
Oh, well.
I know there's a ladder or something in there.
Latter-day Saints.
Yeah,
yes.
ladder to heaven or whatever.
Yeah,
right.
I've been on Mormon Talk recently. I'm not Mormon, nor have I ever been Mormon. But
well, didn't they release a reality show of Mormon wives, and then the Mormons were like, "That's a little racy."
Yeah, it was the Mom Talk. It's a whole thing. Yeah, it's the Mormon moms that were just doing all sorts of scandalous stuff.
Scandal.
But yes.
Well, that's what you get for a repressed society.
Exactly. But yeah, besides Mormons, hello everybody. So today we're going to be
including Mormons. We're not excluding anyone. It's like everyone but the Mormons. No, that's not how we roll.
They probably would be allowed to listen to our show. Isn't it caffeine and paranormal shows?
It's actually so surprising. My TikTok that's been feeding me Mormon talk. So many of these BYU students don't know that Dr. Pepper has caffeine. And they're because there's this guy that goes around BYU and he asks them what's your favorite party drink? And they're like, water.
Water.
And that's a legitimate answer. So, but some of them
are well hydrated.
Well hydrated. But a lot of them are like dirty Diet Coke. And I'm like, you can have that? That's not, I don't know. I don't think they know. And then he told one of the girls, he's like, that has caffeine. And she goes, oh no. She's like, I'm going to have to change my life over this. How dare you?
That's so funny. All right.
But yes.
They do make a caffeine-free Diet Coke.
There you go. But yeah, we're going to be doing Ghostmail today. We're going to read some of y'all's stories. And before we get into it, if you have a ghost story that you would like to share with us that we can read on the show, you can send it to our email. It's ghostmail@hauntedcitypodcast.com. And as always, the more details, the better. Send us the long email if you like. Yeah. We love it.
And you have pictures.
Pictures are also very, very much accepted. Videos.
And as long as we're asking for things, if you have a haunted object that's been bothering you or one of your friends has a haunted object, you can mail it to us. And we will put it in our haunted museum.
Yes.
We sure will.
Send us your creepiest items.
Creepiest items. We will include a mailing address. I'll
put it down below.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. 1305 Barnard Street.
That's it.
Yes.
Box number 2014 is the Paranormal Museum. Savannah Paranormal Museum.
There you go.
I like it.
And while we're on the topic of the museum, Chris, you want to tell us a little bit about it if they're new here?
Absolutely. If this is your first episode, welcome. We are in the absolute throes of creation. We are making a paranormal museum. Yeah. We have been collecting items. I have been collecting items for decades, but now we have this open system where people are contacting us from all around the world, offering up haunted items that we will put on display as exhibits inside the Paranormal Museum. The goal of the Paranormal Museum is to sort of give people an opportunity to research, study, and be around objects that have purportedly supernatural properties. This way you can have an environment where you are around these objects, but we will kind of cultivate, curate, and make sure that there are protections all around to help everyone have a good time, but also an educational one.
Yes, very fun. And there are some really, really creepy and disturbing items currently in the building with us.
Yes. And it's weird because we weren't really prepared to bring things into the building, as it were, but things are just coming at a fast rate that we're like, oh, well, we'll just put it in the building. And then we're like, why is that there? What's moving there? Who did that?
Exactly.
By March, this is going to be one of the most haunted buildings in the Southeast.
It's going to be like a
really
lightning
is.
rod for.
It really is. Not to say that it wasn't
Oh,
already.
right. Not to
very
say that it wasn't
haunted.
already.
We
But-
literally have
We've
had,
been bringing small little bits and pieces.
Oh yeah. Well, we've been talking
ourselves,
about
yeah.
we've been talking about
All these
ghosts
friends.
every single week, multiple times a week for the last 4 years.
We've been prepping this place.
We have been prepping this place, and
Just
then
dripping. We've been reenacting. You were reenacting
reenacting
ghosts.
it with the
Yeah.
Savannah Underground. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah. Dope. And also become a Pear Junkie because you'll be getting live streams of all that happening. Plus 0 ads always, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. After we finish filming this episode, we're going to head over to where the haunted objects are, and we're going to do a little investigation for the Parajunkies only. So if that's something that you're interested in, you know where to join us.
And if you want to see ghosts happen, which is us getting an RV, wrapping it, and going to haunted places, become a Pear Junkie.
So there you go. Yeah. So let's dive into the ghost mails.
Cool. Oh wait, no, I have a YouTube comment of.
Oh, you
the
have
week.
a YouTube comment of the
I have a
week. It's been
YouTube comment of the week.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a
Yeah.
while since we did
Yeah.
that. So this is Sarah Jane McConnell, who she is so supportive of our YouTube. She comments on every video. And she said, JT saying Jeb's hips don't lie did not get the credit it deserved. And I'm here to get my freaking credit.
Listen.
Oh,
I thought it
do you
was
want the credit it deserves?
Worthy.
Boo.
Oh, man.
We were sparing JT.
I was going to say, we were being kind.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So y'all do remember it.
Yes.
It's memorable.
Well,
Not all memorable things are good.
listen, I only remembered it because you sent me a TikTok today where it was in the actual
Yeah.
video. So, yeah, I remembered today. But,
So we're garnering interest in it. He's literally
Exactly.
Pandering.
social media for recognition.
he just needs a little bit of support, y'all, apparently. But nonetheless, now that JT's done with his bad jokes, let's get into...
I'm not done.
Oh, no.
He'll never be done.
I'll never be done.
Okay, well, let's tell Meg's story.
Okay. I will
Right, we do have
Yes.
ghost mails.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so Meg sent an email which was titled "The Shadow Man in the Pantry and Little Children in the Attic."
That's a
which-
whole ghost mail right there.
Literally.
Just the title is like, oh no.
And, you know, I get a kick out of it when y'all, of course, you can just put the subject of your email as ghost mail and you don't have to come up with something clever. But when you do, I do get a good kick out of it every
yeah.
time. So I enjoy. But yes, let's dive on in. So it starts with, "Hello there. I've been a Parajunkie for a while. Thank you, Meg, for being
Yeah.
over on Patreon with us. And wanted to share something that happened only a few months ago. To start, I was not there to witness what happened, but multiple people in my family were, and it is now a popular ghost story in my family. The best kind of ghost story is the one that you get to share with your loved ones. But also, this took place in the early afternoon, so it was daylight out. Lastly, there will be a little bonus story at the end that took place in the same home. I want to start with that I am from Central Maine, and this story takes place
Ooh.
in my late great-grandmother's old home. I love your state, Meg.
I literally just about to say I love your state. That's
Yes.
crazy.
My great-grandmother passed away about 7 years ago. Her husband had been living in the home until last year when he passed. This spring, my grandmother and great-uncle were cleaning out the home to sell it. The home itself was old, probably a Victorian, but I'm not sure. 2 stories with 2 staircases, one in the front of the house and one in the back, with a sitting room and a living room type home. And well, one day when they were over cleaning, my mother and her friend joined to help. My mother's friend is a medium, and as soon as she got out of the car, she looked at my mother and said, "Oh, there are some interesting spirits in there." My mother had warned her of some of the stories my grandmother likes to tell about growing up in the home. When inside, my great uncle and his wife were showing her around. She pointed out the pantry, which was a thin hallway with 2 doors that connected the living room and kitchen. She said, "There's a shadow man living in the pantry."
Oh, boy.
It's like the last place you want the shadow man to be living. It's like, get away from the snacks.
I know.
If you keep grape nuts in your pantry, No shadow men will go near it.
That is true.
What?
Well, no men will go near it. No one will go near grape nuts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the point.
I thought that
This
was
is
like
my
a
dig
thing.
at grape nuts. No.
I'm like, wow, Grace.
Protect yourself with it. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't tell jokes because everyone takes me seriously, and then they just fill their house with grape nuts.
that is
Protect me! It was a joke.
No, I just have too many grape nuts. it's
I don't even know what a grape nut is.
a cereal.
It's a cereal that is patterned after gravel.
Yeah.
What the?
Little rocks.
What?
Only
Have you never had grape nuts?
I've never had grape nuts.
So
Now I got to look it up.
yeah, I actually want you to try it and report back to us by the next thing. Anyway,
They
we should
still
just
sell
continue.
it? Sorry.
Yes,
Yeah,
they do.
they
It's
do.
a very popular cereal
amongst the elderly that have no flavors anymore. Flavored
and are in
tasters.
need of like 10,000% fiber every day.
Yeah.
This says it makes you poop like a champion.
That's what I said.
Precisely.
1,000% fiber. It's an insane amount of fiber. It's basically eating rocks.
Okay. Got it.
Essentially.
Little rocks.
Yeah, and milk does nothing to help that. But anyways, back to the shadow man living in the pantry with the grape nuts.
Right.
My
With or without the grape nuts. I don't want to make
possibly.
assumptions about. Well, it was her grandmother's house.
Yes. My mother, grandmother, great uncle, and great aunt were shocked by this because my family always thought something dark was in the home. She then said, "He doesn't like that you keep leaving the doors open." He has demands, apparently. My great uncle.
That's just a grandfather.
That's true. That is, shut the door. But that's not what he said. My great uncle shut the doors and jokingly said, "Whatever, if that's what you want." The tour continued up the main stairs to the first and second bedrooms. My mother's friend then pointed out two small children in the third bedroom, which used to be the attic. A small story about them at the end. My uncle and his wife, I got tired of writing great, split from the group and went across the hall into the first bedroom. While in the second bedroom, my mother's friend says he is following me around the house telling me to leave. My grandmother asked, "Why does he want you to leave?" "He doesn't like that I'm talking about him."
Ooh.
That's not a good sign. Maybe it's a good thing y'all are selling this house.
Again, spirits that hide are usually very dangerous because good and ambivalent spirits want recognition because it feeds them. It gives them power. Ones that are hiding have a source of power. And sometimes they're feeding off of a person or sometimes they're feeding off of an energy source. So when a spirit is hiding or doesn't want to be talked about or addressed, that's always they won't give you their name, things like that. You're dealing with a dark, dark spirit.
Yoicks.
Yeah. So very creepy, and creepy that I told her that. But as soon as those words left her mouth, the door to the bedroom slammed shut all by itself. My mother's friends and friend and grandmother gasped in shock. They spin around to look at the door. My uncle yells from the other bedroom in perfect view of the now closed door, "What the hell was that? Did that effing door just slam on its own?" I'm assuming that's not what your uncle sounds like, but that's the voice I've given him.
Yeah, that's a true Maine accent right
Yes,
there.
perfectly. I sound just like Stephen King, but
Right.
my mother opened the door and asked them if they saw it too, and they said they watched it happen. My mother's friend said that he was showing how mad he was. Everyone in the house was pretty shaken up after that, and everyone decided to go home. After that day, my family kept the door to the pantry shut. Sadly, my family sold the house back in June, but I have a small story about the children.
Ooh, that was a great story.
It is.
That was
story.
awesome.
So,
And there was like an internet sensation about a pantry ghost. Do you remember
Yes,
this? It was like a
yes.
frosted glass door and hands and a face would come up to it and then they'd open the door.
it's so creepy.
yeah.
Did you see
I'd
that?
say about
No, no,
80%
I
sure
never
it
saw
was
that.
visual effects. However, it was so well done and so inscrutably done that it's like it was weird enough and scary enough
Right.
to make you second guess it. Also, if you're not familiar with, there's a channel called The Ghosts of Carmel, and it takes place in Carmel, Maine. And the description of this house is very similar to the house in the Carmel, Maine. And again, it's one of those things where if those videos are true, they are the most astounding footage of ghosts I've ever seen.
1,000%. Yeah.
Because there's one where he's coming into the room. He goes up the stairs. He comes into a bedroom, and the shades are dark. Like it looks like it's dark outside, but then the dark behind the shades drops down and goes under the bed.
Oh, Lord.
But when it drops down, there's a split second when it kind of looks like an orangutan because it has long arms. It's like swinging down on this long arm and disappearing under the bed. So he goes around to look at the side of the bed where it looked like it went, and it wasn't there. But when he turns, it's standing right in front of him.
Oh, my God.
And he lets out a delightful yelp.
Yep. A yip, if you will.
A yip.
And Fab said, little human ghosts are just so creepy already, and then they are in the attic. Yeah, makes it worse, right? But yeah, the children in the attic is the second part. So the attic was just a room in my great-grandmother's house that sat atop the kitchen with its own stairs. When my great-grandmother had a few kids, they made the attic into a small bedroom. Blue walls with slanted ceilings on both sides of the room, a horrifically made wooden cross on the wall.
Okay.
I'm talking horror movie in the middle of the woods made of woven together sticks type of cross.
Nice.
I thank you for giving us that visualization because
it helps.
It does. My grandmother used to tell me stories of her and her sisters sleeping up in the room and her kids giggling on the back stairs. Kids running down the stairs at night. The worst one, in my opinion, was one night when she was little, she and her sister were sharing a bed to stay warm because of how cold it was. The house had almost no insulation and space heaters were not really safe in homes at the time. So they would get as many blankets as they could find and hope that the blankets wouldn't freeze to the wall. Fair enough. That's what Maine winters used to be, LOL. So my grandmother and her sister were trying to fall asleep, watching their breath in the air, when my grandmother felt her hair being tugged and patted like they were stroking their hair. She pretended like nothing was happening. She then, with her eyes closed, heard the door to the stairs open and then close and kids giggling. Somehow she fell asleep after that, and the next morning she asked her sister if she heard it too, and all she would say was yes. We don't know if this is related or not, but many years ago, a child died in a house fire. Ooh. The crib caught fire because it was placed in front of a fireplace. I don't know if that was in that house or somewhere nearby, but they were related to my family somehow, but I can't remember. Thank you so much for reading my story, and I hope to send more.
Oh, please do.
Yeah, absolutely. Always send more stories. But yeah, it sounds like to me the children ghosts in the attic, you know, I feel like because this happened when your grandmother was a child, more than likely they recognized that she was also a child and they were just interacting because, you know, when something plays with your hair and it's not like pulling your hair aggressively, more than likely they're just kind of interacting and observing with you. And it didn't seem malicious in any way. So that's actually kind of a fun story.
Yeah.
Your pantry ghost, though, glad that's with a new family because, you know, I
hope they're faring better.
Yeah. I would not personally want to have the pantry ghost because it's just suspicious.
It is. That's suspicious.
And especially because somebody was calling it out and it actually decided to
responded, right.
Right. That's
insane. Even that the source of agitation was so great at just being mentioned.
Right.
Like,
He's like, oh, somebody can see me. He's like, I've been lurking for all this time.
It's obviously not Beetlejuice.
Right. It's not Beetlejuice.
When I die, if you want me to be your pantry ghost, fill your pantry with vanilla Oreos.
There you go.
Just vanilla Oreos?
I'll be there.
You can do it now and he'll show up at your house.
That is true.
That's true.
That is very true.
You don't have to wait for him to die to give him vanilla Oreos.
That is very true.
That address again is...
But yes, thank you so much, Meg. That's a wonderful story. And yeah, if you have any more ghost stories about your family or your home, yeah, definitely send them in because I love a good classic ghost story.
And it's probably worth mentioning that Maine is woefully haunted.
That is very true.
It's an incredibly haunted place. It has very harsh winters. It has, a very vast wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen King obviously got all of those stories from somewhere.
Exactly.
That was probably from
being inside,
growing up in Maine.
Yeah, being inside during the cold winters. Start really getting creative at those times. But So this next one also is kind of wildernessly themed, if you will. This one's from Sarah, and it was titled Creatures of the Woods, which is always a creepy thing to talk about.
Sounds like a story I want to hear.
So they said, hey guys, I recently discovered your podcast on TikTok and have become obsessed. Thank you so much. And hopefully the Tiki Talk stays around a little bit longer. If not, we will.
Long enough to reestablish.
We will find our new place.
YouTube.
YouTube. More likely.
I'm trying to get beta testing on Neptune. Look up Neptune. The Neptune app.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I think it is an app that took as much of the content creation side of TikTok and applied it to arts management kind of framework. So it is more for creators. Ideally, that's the promise.
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of people moving to a Chinese
Red
app.
Note?
Red Note.
Don't go to Red Note.
Really?
At least wait.
Yeah.
Just for a little while. Mostly because Red Note has Chinese structure in the sense of the government actually does monitor it, and it's far more likely you'll be banned for content that you didn't realize was not allowed. So I'm just saying, hold off.
Yeah.
Because
it's also all in Mandarin.
it is in Mandarin. Even
very-
if you do the English, all of the responses are in Mandarin, all of the interactions are in Mandarin.
Oh, man.
But so I say hold off on that because that is a mainland China business for the Chinese. So a lot of it will not translate into what you're used to operating. Okay. But apparently it's very nice. It's very fun, and people are having a great time on it.
It's very similar in the vibe of TikTok, Instagram, and Tumblr. If you smashed all those together,
Yeah. So people are like it's like TikTok and Etsy.
Woodland creatures.
yes.
Oh yeah, that's right. We have creatures.
Well, just a
Of
sidebar
the
since
woods.
this is the current climate we are in, but
Where to find us?
yeah. If you look on any platform, Haunted City Podcast, if you're missing
Yeah,
us.
so the Savannah Paranormal Museum has a TikTok, but we're not really engaging with it all that much until we see how it all falls out.
Exactly.
It's like I want to post a bunch of stuff, but then I'm like, why?
Right. So I have a story that I'd love to hear your thoughts on. I'd love to see it on the podcast/show. Well, welcome. Here you go.
Hello.
Hello. I've lived in southeastern Alabama all my life and am no stranger to paranormal stories. While I have not really seen anything extremely crazy occur, I'll frequently get the feeling that I am not alone and being watched or hear out of place noises and talking. My sister and I moved to a new home on the edge of our city limits around 2 years ago. We always made the joke that if the new house was haunted, we would hightail it out of there immediately. Talk about self-preservation. Thankfully, everything stayed pretty quiet at first. It started pretty slow and kind of ramped up. On multiple occasions, I would begin hearing doors slam shut, sounds of people speaking, yelling, and giggling like it was right next to my ear, and strange noises I've never heard before. I would always check inside to see if my sister was home and outside to see if it was my neighbors. Each time there would be no one around, no doors shut or moved, and no television or radios on. Of course, I thought it was strange, but didn't think much about it and tried to convince myself of some plausible reason. My sister and guests would never hear or see anything spooky happen. It would just be me. My dog Ripley would sometimes stare at the walls or follow something moving around that isn't there. Admittedly, it is very unsettling for your animals to interact with ghosties or creepy creatures you can't see, but I can't blame the ghost for trying to pet a pup. Fair enough. But however, one night I brought my dog outside around 10 p.m. before going to bed and to do our usual routine. Notably, she is a very large Doberman that stays glued to my side 24/7 and will protect me fiercely. I have a fenced-in backyard, and behind that is a large patch of woods. Once my dog goes outside, she usually takes a quick look around and does her business, ignoring any squirrels or possums that may be out there, as she is not very reactive. This time, however, she froze in place and began growling and snarling at the woods. I thought that it must be a deer or something, some other animal, and not to think too much about it. Of course, the terrifying thought that it would be a person came into my mind, as sometimes a homeless person will cut through the woods to get to another city close by. However, I then began hearing the heavy and frantic rustling of leaves in the woods and looked up. I saw at least 4 pairs of eyes in the woods staring straight at my dog and I. These creatures had a red eye sheen and stood around 5 feet tall and made a strange grunting, wheezing noise.
Whoa.
It's super creepy.
That is super creepy. That was a JT activation of the oh hell no.
You have a claw now?
I have a claw.
Okay.
The claw.
The claw. The claw.
We have been chosen.
But they had 4 long, thin legs and a long snout and had thick, pitch black fur. Sounds like a grim.
Yeah.
Oh.
After staring at us for about 5 minutes, they would walk a few steps away, stop, look at us more, and then walked away again until they were completely out of sight. It's almost like they just disappeared into thin air. As the leaves stopped rustling, even when they were still visible, they also walked in an unsettling, perfect unison, like a pack of wolves or deer.
That was my first
Yeah.
instinct was wolves.
But are there a lot of wolves in South Alabama?
I think you'll be surprised at the migratory patterns of wolves these days.
Fair enough.
In South Alabama?
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Coyotes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, possibly a coyote, but
the coyotes are usually not in packs like that. But, or
Skunk
that
apes.
big. Skunk apes.
skunk apes, that is true.
I don't think they travel in packs either.
Yeah. Oh, they don't.
I don't think
My
so.
uncle said that he saw one.
In Florida?
Anyway, yeah. In Florida.
Florida is, and I have always thought that when dealing with a skunk ape, you're probably dealing with a Tiger King situation gone wrong.
Sure.
Where
You're
someone
not
was
wrong.
like,
Yeah.
come on down to Ted's used monkey farm. And he's like, oh, one of them got away.
Used monkey
That's what I was
farm.
about to say. They're used.
Well, of course they're used. Can't buy them new. New monkeys are expensive.
You really can only find that in SoFlo, Missouri.
It's true.
Sorry.
No, that Missouri for sure. That's about right. Anywho, now that we've settled on used monkeys, it was paired ominously with the fact that there were no other sounds, no wind, no birds, no bugs, nothing, which is also quite concerning because you're in South Alabama.
Right.
Yeah.
It's never that quiet. There's at least something going
There's
on.
someone
The
saying
crickets
yeehaw
alone.
somewhere.
Yeah.
You're on one today. But yeah, well, and we've gotten other stories where people have said that they had a paranormal encounter with something in the woods and everything just goes silent. It's
Yes.
like all the animals and the critters are like, yeah, we don't want to
Y'all
be
see
here.
that video of the guy on the dirt bike? I know you have because I showed you the
one
one
was
where
that?
the guy's on the dirt bike and then he stops and he stops the dirt bike. You can hear like the crickets and all
Yes,
of that.
yes.
And it's the sun's going down. He goes, I gotta get out of here before the sun. I mean, it's pretty real sounding, obviously. And he's going to start up his motorbike and all of a sudden you hear all the crickets and everything just died. He goes. Phew. And he's like, what the hell? And then he looks down the trail and there's something like hunched over in the woods.
Yep, nope,
And
no good.
he just is like starting that bike. It's like, rah, rah.
Literally.
It's a whole thing. It was good. Anyway.
Yes. So I felt completely frozen to the spot and felt an intense dread in my gut that I haven't felt before. The feeling I would normally get when I watched or spooky things happen increased tenfold and felt almost sinister.
Dang.
I had to practically drag my dog back into the house afterwards and triple checked all the doors and window locks. I've always been used to the wildlife in our neck of the woods and know the kind of things not to mess with, look behinds, bears, etc. However, there is no wildlife in this area that would be the same height, have the red eye shine, make the same noise, or be in a pack like that in my area. It could not be a deer, hogs, bears, wolves, owls, fox, rabbits, etc. Any hunter that I have asked could not imagine what animal or creature it could possibly be.
Whoa.
Very soon after that occurrence, I saw what appeared to be the same creature during the day.
What? Oh my gosh.
It was again on the other side of the fence in the woods. As me and the poochie were walking outside, the creature was positioned like it was facing the house and watching it. The farther we went outside, it turned silently and slowly walked into the woods. It almost...
You need a trail cam.
Apparently,
Yeah,
yes. It almost felt like it wanted us to follow it. Unfortunately, I could not discern any more physical details about it, but it made it no less creepy or identifiable. Sorry if it was a long story, as I did not want to miss any details. Please share your thoughts on what you think it may be.
Shoot.
I mean, that last bit does kind of fall into most of the folklore around the Appalachian cryptids.
Yes.
You get a lot of the beckoning you, watching you from the woods, following into the woods. And Alabama is not far enough away from that kind of folklore setting. You know, this could just be an offshoot of one of these types of entities.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's the pack that throws me off. That there are multiples kind of makes you wonder, because most of these things are solitary. Even like a look behind may use voices that are multiples, but it's always one look behind. It's not, they don't travel in pack. At least I've never heard of them traveling in packs.
Of them doing that.
And I think the video that I was talking about, I think that was a look behind. It was just one. So yeah, that's interesting. I mean,
depending on where he was, because
just the fact that everything went silent. That's what, because I was on the skunk
things
ape
going
side.
silent.
I was on the skunk ape side because that's the most realistic option that would stand at 5 feet tall,
red-eyed,
and be hairy.
But even skunk apes, I don't think I know of stories where they're in groups. I have heard of groups of Bigfoot, families of Bigfoots, like a pod of Bigfoots, or whatever they are. Anybody out there know what a group of Bigfoots are supposed to be called? Like
big feet.
Yeah, but like, are they a crowd of big feet? Are they a
podiatry?
Are they
circle?
Are they a diplomacy of big feet?
Podiatry.
Are they a murder of big feet?
Oh, that's funny.
But I mean, so outlandish theory, because it could be something shapeshifty.
Could be shapeshifting. Again, shapeshifters generally are, although
could it be fae?
Fae do travel in groups. But now that I think about it, I have heard of skinwalkers traveling in packs.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about skinwalker.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
South Alabama skinwalker?
Yeah, you know, again,
way,
it's the term that we use because it's identified. Skinwalkers are, in fact, far west. But wherever you are, there is a version, you know, that people will call upon or identify, and we put them under the same heading. So when we say skinwalker, we're actually talking about a shape-shifting entity that can travel in family groups, like a pack.
Sure.
I have heard that before.
And so,
because
why do y'all
ideally
think...
you've got shaman turning into animals, but sometimes they'll band together in their own tribe.
So why do y'all think that nature, when these things are around, goes quiet?
They can sense it and they're trying to get as far away from it.
What, the cricket?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, even the crickets.
The crickets are like,
Yes.
I ain't playing my legs right now.
I think that one of the more interesting things is if you're in the woods and something dangerous is nearby, a lot of times the sound will pitch up. Like if you've ever been in the woods and a predator bird flies by, there's lots of sound. Like all the little birds start screaming and chirping. All of the insects start screaming and chirping. And one of the interesting things is the idea is to confuse the predator, to make the predator not know where to go. You're basically hedging your bets. You're saying, make all the noise and more of us will survive. Sounds counterintuitive, but it is a natural response. But what if there's a natural response that says, you can't get away from this?
Yeah.
Your best bet is to be as silent as possible. And being silent tells every other thing what's up.
True.
You're trying to warn. Everything in nature is trying to give you warning that something specific. So it's an alarm, but instead of being a noise, it's a silence. Because when a silence falls, you almost instantly say, what's happening?
Right.
Exactly.
And so maybe nature is really just trying to give you a heads up and tell you, don't mess with this. Because when they get very trilly and there's all this noise, they're like, oh, there's a predator bird or there's an animal here that's going to do us damage, warn out. Rabbits have the thumping feet, and there's all these things that animals do to warn each other. But if it goes quiet, they very well may be like, hide.
Yeah.
So there is a cryptid. It's not an exact match, but it is interesting nonetheless. There is a cryptid that has been seen in Mobile, Alabama, called the Wolfwoman.
The white thing.
And it's definitely not the white thing.
The white thing.
Which is also a cryptid, apparently. It's literally THANG, thang.
Thang.
Yeah.
All right.
It's an albino Bigfoot.
Yes. But the Wolfwoman is a creature reported to have been seen in Mobile, Alabama, described to have the head of a woman in the lower body of a wolf, and reportedly seen stalking residents at night but never harming anyone.
Oh, okay.
Intriguing.
So
I just thought it might be Tammy if she didn't shave her legs for a week.
you're done. You were.
Although they also mentioned the skunk ape here
Yeah, they do.
Hey!
as an Alabama.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah. There is another one that I am not really familiar with, but it's called the Sipsy.
The Sipsy creature.
Yeah. And it is a cryptid that lives near the Black Warrior River. I don't know if you're anywhere near the Black Warrior River, but
Apparently the Sipsy.
the Sipsy is also a
Sipsy,
thing.
okay.
But the Wolfwoman feels kind of interesting.
Well, because it almost immediately evokes the notion of wolf.
yeah.
A pack of quadruped creatures, especially large. It's easy to misjudge the size of a wolf if it's near you. If you look over and you see a wolf, some of them look ginormous.
Yeah.
We have wolves out at Oatland Island Preserve here. We got to go out and pet them once.
Oh, yeah. They're so cute.
They're very cute,
They're
but
so
they're
cute.
much larger when they're right up on you.
Yeah.
they
You're
are
like,
big.
oh, they're dogs. They're dogs. Oh, no.
Yeah, big boy.
This is some kind of bear.
Yes. But yeah, so that's my estimation. But
It's not a bad estimation. That is
Yeah.
a solid guess.
So yeah, let us
Or just an unidentified cryptid.
cryptid.
Yeah.
That is true. Let us know if you see it again, though. If you do, send us another email.
Trail cam.
Trail
cam. We need a trail
yeah,
cam.
definitely get a trail cam because that could be a very interesting bit of evidence if you do capture it. But yes, so thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah.
And then
Awesome.
our next one comes from Louis, and it was entitled "My Encounter with the Entity."
Oh.
All right.
So, hello all. I am a paranormal enthusiast with an appreciation for everything spiritual and the occult. I have numerous stories involving my life growing up and experiences I've encountered throughout the southeast of Georgia and the northeast of Florida.
Huzzah.
Huzzah. The story I'm sharing with you is the first time I was actually afraid of a paranormal encounter. I, of course, added some flair as I am a performer at heart. Enjoy.
Yay.
You know, I
Nice.
can't blame you for a little flair. But within my family, the realm of the supernatural holds no novelty or peculiarity. However, this particular tale continues to haunt the depths of my being.
Wow.
I like it. One night, as my family and I returned to our house, a sinister aura permeated the air. Amidst our arrival, a chilling voice whispered into the recesses of my mind, compelling me to look to the second-story window. Succumbing to its command, I beheld a ghastly figure lurking within the frame of the second-story window, its shadowed hand beckoning with an otherworldly allure. A moment of frozen terror ensued as my mother and sisters, compelled by an unseen force, also directed their eyes toward the macabre apparition. Panic seized our hearts. We quickly called the police and stated that someone was in the house. The arrival of the police, accompanied by a canine unit, brought a semblance of reassurance. For a span of 30 to 45 agonizing minutes, they scoured every recess of our house, its size providing ample hiding places for the malevolent unknown. After some time, their efforts proved futile, as no trace of the spectral intruder could be found, which offered some comfort. Suddenly, an eerie cacophony of footfalls echoed from the attic, causing both officers and canine to startle in unison.
Oh, wow.
Their composure shattered. They scrambled to confront the source of this unholy disturbance. Our attic, an unsettling amalgamation of cramped crawl spaces with an open hall and an overhang. With the aid of a ladder, 2 officers ascended the heights slowly. As they breached the threshold of that foreboding realm, an icy chill enveloped the house.
Oh, boy.
The canine, sensing something that lurked within, whimpered and cowered, its ears lowered in submission. Time seemed to stretch into an eternity as the officer delved deeper into the abyss. Upon their eventual return, a palpable unease was shown in their faces. The support beams of the attic bore an unholy sight, a series of straps meticulously arranged in the form of a sacrilegious cross. These restraints, intended for hands, neck, and feet, defied all rational explanation.
Whoa.
That's super creepy.
Wow.
The officers, confounded and disconcerted, struggled to comprehend the sinister implications of this grotesque discovery. In the aftermath of this incident, our lives became a tapestry of terror. Countless times we bore witness to shadows peering through windows, their ethereal gazes penetrating our souls, tapping upon our walls, haunting voices devoid of corporeal form, whispered malevolent secrets and hums into the depth of our consciousness. Things would disappear for some time, then reappear in an unorthodox place. No one could explain what was in the house or why it was happening to us, but it was my life for some time until I moved out of the house. I still see the shadows out of the corner of my eye. I have many other stories, and I've done research on the paranormal and folklore of the Appalachians and the Navajo. And I'm also a clairvoyant and clairaudient, as well as some mediumship skills. Please let me know if you want some more stories. The claw has spoken. Yeah, that is a really bizarre story. And I'm like trying to compose my thoughts of what that could possibly be. I mean, it definitely, with the lady up in the second story window, it definitely feels like something, was up there in a paranormal capacity. It's the restraints that are really mind-boggling me right now, because I'm like,
there's kind of a suggestion that perhaps the house was used ritualistically or pseudo-sexually or serial killer.
And all of that would let spirits
behavior.
in.
Yeah.
Right.
All of that.
Because that's just prolonged suffering, whether voluntarily or, involuntarily, that kind of emotional output could cause a lot of damage.
It's also just interesting in the fact that y'all didn't know about the...
Well, if it's about going up into a crawl space in the attic, there's probably, no reason to get all up into the beams like that.
I guess, yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't be able to tell you what my attic's like. I just throw crap up there. It's like,
dang.
I think that's where the Christmas tree is. I think.
I think so. Yeah, it's just it definitely. I agree with you. I think it might be something was let in and some level of a ritual of whatever sorts that might be.
Yeah, and hopefully it was happening like in a household prior to you moving in, and not like without your knowledge while you were living there.
Yeah,
someone's up there doing some weird and peculiar
things.
stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if this entity that was associated with this, if it wasn't getting weaker because nobody's practicing the rituals anymore, and that was why she was trying to get your attention.
Oh, that's good, Maddie.
Could have been a victim.
Ooh, yeah.
To say this is what
happened to me.
Yes.
Damn.
But nonetheless, the fact that all of y'all saw it and the cops also freaked out and the dog, it says a lot, because especially with police officers, I mean, they're trained to go into very, intense situations and to keep a level head oftentimes. And
Same with police dogs are so trained to a point, It's hard to imagine one whimpering. It's hard to imagine what situation would cause it to whimper.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah. So just interesting because it doesn't feel like the sort of situation that any of those people would, panic through. But,
And where in the U.S. was this? Did
It
mention?
seems like southeast Georgia or,
yeah,
Georgia.
or northeast Florida, in that
in this
general-
region, in the region we're in.
In the region
Yes.
we're in right now. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to. I'll email them back and see if like we can get a
Picture of the
picture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
that's crazy.
But yeah, very, very creepy story for sure.
Dummy creepy.
Very. Yeah. And if you want to send us more stories or more details, please feel free to. We would love to hear it. But awesome. Well, thank you all so much for listening to today's Ghost Mail. And like we said at the beginning, if you have a ghost story that you would like to share, you can send it to ghostmail@hauntedcitypodcast.com. And last but not least, in the event that if TikTok does go away, and I know a lot of you have come from TikTok, please feel free to follow us on all the other various platforms, YouTube, Instagram, all the good stuff. We'll continue to post clips and different spooky things on those social media platforms until we end up landing on a new platform, I'm sure. But
Oh, this was the 60th episode Ghost Mail.
wow.
60th ghost. Woo!
Woo! We're 60 years old. I love it. Fantastic.
Excellent.
Yeah, y'all always send in phenomenal stories. So keep it up. Keep sending in your stories. But yeah, thank y'all again. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day whenever you're listening to this episode. And my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And stay spooky, y'all.